All right, I have a couple of labs to give you, okay, that practice using CSS. So the first one is called Betty's Bakery. Uh, this will use stuff that we're going to be talking about in today's lab. It's also going to involve stuff I'm going to give you in a lab that's going to be coming up on Monday. It gets into the basics of writing CSS, so things like, the basics of writing CSS, syntax, adding typographical CSS. It also gets a little bit into backgrounds and classes as well, which is something we'll talk about in the next module that's coming up. This will be due not this Monday, but the Monday after next, which is the 19th. The other assignment I'm giving you guys is what you guys are going to do is take your portfolio and we're going to add more to it. Okay, so part 1, you're adding text. Part 2, you're adding images and hyperlinks. Now you're going to, part of it's going to be HTML and part of it's going to be adding CSS. So what I want you to do is, the first part is adding in HTML5 containers. This is what we talked about last module. So this gets into applying things like, I want you to divide your page into a header, a main, and a footer section. Okay. The header should have your banner in it. Your main section is going to have all of your content, like your biography and your resume and your portfolio and your website. Your footer is just going to have like a little copyright for you there. Each one of your sections should go in a section tag. So you should have like a biography section and a resume section and a portfolio section and a website, social media section, the hyperlink part. And the final thing is for each image, I want you to so remember you were supposed to have 3 images in your, hypertext. What I would do is each image should go inside of a figure. So inside each figure should be the image and also a caption. So I asked you guys to have captions. The caption should go inside of a fig caption. Okay, so each picture should be in its own unique figure and each one should have a fig caption. Okay, feel free to go back and look at slides if you want to double check the syntax on it. So that's the HTML part. The other half is I want you to add basic CSS to your document. Okay, so what you're going to do is create a new document called style.css, and I want you to connect your portfolio.html to the style.css. So you should create your CSS as an external document and then link it to your portfolio page. And then what I want you to do is create at least 5 separate CSS rules. If you're not sure what a rule is like this. This would be like one rule. So anytime you use a selector with brackets, that's considered a single rule. So I want at least 5. Okay. So you can apply it to anything you want to do. If you want to apply it to headings or H1s, H2s, P tags, fig captions, whatever you want to do, it's up to you. I want you to define typography for at least 2 different tags, things like, the font family and the font size. I want you to define color for at least 3 tags. I want you to define the color using hexadecimal values. So remember, hexadecimal is something like this. This value here, that's a hexadecimal value, as opposed to just using like, red or blue or something. And feel free to use other stuff. I'm not gonna, I can't go through every single CSS property that you could use, but like things we talked about in class, line height, you could use text indent, letter spacing, font weight, text shadow, which lets you put shadow on text. All of this, I would recommend just looking at documentation. This is the best way. It's like, you don't need to memorize things. You just need to know whether, how to find a source and looking at a reference of like, reminder of like what the values are and, how to do that. And then finally, what I want you to do is put a background color. You can either have a background color, a gradient, or a pattern. We haven't talked about that yet. That's actually going to come up in the next module. But you can at least start it if you want to start it now and then fill this in later after Monday's module where we cover this. What you're going to do at the end is submit me a root folder that has your HTML files, your HTML file, the images, and the CSS file, all in the same folder. Zip it and submit the zip folder to me. Okay? If you have any questions, feel free to email me or come to my office hours.